Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My name is Mueez Spall, and today I'll be talking about the Battle of Badr. So, for a bit of background on this battle, the Battle of Badr happened after 13 years of persecution against the Muslims. The Muslims were tortured every day by the Kafirs. They were shunned, they were put aside, they weren't treated properly. Like, if you wanted to buy something from a market and the owner was Kafir and you were Muslim, he probably wouldn't sell to you because of your religion, because he wouldn't want to sell to you and to show that they think that they're superior in their religion. And this happened for over 13 years. And through these 13 years, every single time, the Sahabas would always tell the Prophet, let's fight back, let's go against them. Our men are ready, we want to fight against them. And the Prophet always say, no, Allah will give us our chance. And this was their chance. The Prophet ﷺ heard about Abu Sufyan, which, if you don't know, he was one of the men who was also helping persecute the Prophet. He had a very large caravan and filled with supplies and items, food, water, etc. And they were traveling. And once the Prophet heard about this, he said, this is our chance, this is our chance. We will intercept the caravan, we will fight them, because caravans don't usually carry soldiers, weapons, artillery. No, they carry supplies, camels, traders. So it's easy to intercept as long as there's no army traveling with it. So once the Prophet ﷺ heard about this, he and 313 men, along with 2 horses and 70 camel, they traveled to go intercept Abu Sufyan. But they didn't know at the time that Abu Sufyan had already heard about them before they even started leaving. So Abu Sufyan he sent a scout to Quraysh, and then he told the people of Quraysh, Muhammad is coming and he is going to take our supplies, he's going to take everything that we have in our caravan. I'm going to travel on a different route. You take your army, you take your men, and you go fight him. So what they did, Abu Lahab led over 1,300 soldiers with 1,000 camels and 200 horses. Now mind you, this massive army, 1,000 camels and 200 horses, is about to go fight 313 men with 2 horses and 70 camels. That is a 4-to-1 ratio. So for every 1 Muslim soldier there is, he would have to fight against 4 Kafirs to make the odds even slightly able for them in their favors. So the Muslims arrived there first, and then they started to realize they're not here, they're traveling on a different route. And then that's when they realized that an army is coming to fight them. So then the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ approached the Sahabas. He said, I still think we can fight them. I still think we should take this day as an opportunity to show that we are Muslims of Islam and we are not going to back down to their persecution. So he said, whoever wants to stay here and fight with me, they are welcome. And the first man to stand up was Abu Bakr. He stood up out of the men and he said, O Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you go into battle and fight, I am right behind you along with all these other men. Then the next man to stand up was Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh. He also stood up and said, I am with Abu Bakr and I will stand with you against the Kafirs. And then one by one, more and more Sahaba stood up until it was every single those 313 men. They stood there and said, we are with you. So now it's 313 versus 1,300. The odds are 1 to 4. Now they have arrived. They are seeing this massive army, 1,000 camels, 200 soldiers. Now if you look at it, the Muslims have 2 horses and 313 men. That is leaving 311 men with just on their feet, and there's 70 camels, which only covers about 10-15% of their men. Now it may seem 10-15% big, but you also have to remember that not every man is getting a camel, and there's only 313 men. Now if you look on the other side, there's 1,300 soldiers with 1,000 camels, which is covering about 90% of their soldiers, and 200 horses, which is covering 21%, around 21% of their men. So now they're standing against this army, and the tradition how it was back then, you take 3 of their strongest and then 3 of their strongest, and then they go against each other before everyone starts fighting. So the Quraysh, they picked their 3 strongest men, and then they stood in front of the army and they said, pick 3 of your men and have them fight my men. So the Prophet ﷺ, he looked back at his men, he looked back at every single one he could have chose, and he chose 3 people, Hamza, Ali, and Ubaidah. He chose these 3 men out of all the soldiers, which shows how much trust he puts into them. So now there's 3 on 3 standing, and they start fighting. Hamza and Ali, mashallah, they won their fights, but Ubaidah, he was fighting very valiantly, and he got wounded in the process. Now he did manage to wound him back, but eventually he did pass away and become a martyr in the Battle of Badr. And after that, Hamza and Ali were able to take him down. But now, before even the battle had started, the Kafirs have 3 shaheed, and the Muslims have 1. So now this puts the Muslim spirit up a little. So, you know, they have 3 that passed away, and we have 1. So it brings their spirits up a little. Now they're about to go into a full-on war against each other. Now before this happened, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he raised his hands and he made a dua saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, "O Allah, let us believers win here today, because if these believers behind me pass away, then on the face of this planet, you will not be worshipped again." Subhanallah. Now just to understand, this is way back in the day, where Muslims were only in the city of Mecca and Medina, and they were not as widespread as they are now, over 1 billion Muslims in the world. So to say that 313 of these men are going to pass away in what is already a minority group in Mecca and Medina is a very huge deal. So him making this dua, it was one of the biggest things of this battle, and shows just how much these believers put trust into Allah, that they were even willing to stand against 1,300 men. Now Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he makes this dua, and then the battle starts. They're fighting, again it's 1 to 4, 1 Muslim against 4 Kafirs, and they're going at it, they're fighting, and the battle keeps going and going. And eventually, Abu Lahab is fighting, and then he realizes, we're losing. We are losing our men. They're dropping one by one, and their numbers are barely decreasing. So, and then he starts to realize that they're getting pushed back. Their numbers that they thought that they had the biggest advantage. Mind you, before this battle, Abu Lahab was told that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they don't have to intercept him because the caravan is already out of their way. He just told him, prepare your army in case. But he said, no, I want to go against Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He said, I want to fight him, I want to show him who we are, I want to show him our strength. And now the same person who said I wants to show him my strength, he is backing down, he is scared. His 1,300 men, 1,000 camels, 200 horses, whatever he had, all his soldiers or his artillery, it seems like nothing now. He's looking at these 300 men, and he's like thinking, how in the world are we losing this fight? We had such a bigger advantage. And then the thought comes in mind, could it be what they believe in? But of course, they were always blinded, never wanted to see the truth. And again, they keep getting pushed back, but they're stubborn, they want to keep fighting and fighting, until eventually they realize, we can't win this fight. So then after this, 70 were taken prisoner, and out of their side, 70 was passed away from the Quraysh side. Now the 70 prisoners that were taken is narrated in hadith and other areas, that these 70 prisoners were treated with the utmost respect and kindness. The same people that tried to kill the Prophet literally weeks ago, now that they're in prison, they're treated with kindness, sincerity, and they're humble, they're being humble to them. And this just makes you think, can you imagine someone is they go out of their way to come and fight you, and they do everything. They throw everything they have at you, and then you end up winning by a miracle of Allah. What are you going to do with them? Any other general would have said, we won, now to show our power, let's slaughter every single one of them here. But no, after they surrendered and had the martyrs already, they didn't say line them up and slaughter them. He said, no, let's take these prisoners, and whatever they pass away, that's it. We're not going to increase the number. And let's take them back, imprison them, and then treat them with kindness and respect. You can't even understand that being your first thought. The first thought of any other human being is let's slaughter them all. Even if it came up, no, let's show mercy. But your first thought is always, let me get back at them. They did this to me, I'm going to do this to them. You can never have it as your first. This just shows how amazing and humble the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was. That his first thought in his mind wasn't to slaughter them all, wasn't to take their stuff and then go after the caravan again. His thought was, end it here, take these prisoners, whoever passed away in this fight, that's it. And it just shows how humble the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was. And they ended up winning that battle by, of course, the miracle of Allah and the Sahabas. We make dua that the Sahabas and the brothers who died in that battle, they are granted Jannah at the highest level. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.